blonde tramp, and she's probably getting thirsty.
In the landscape of pop music, women being pitted against one another, perpetuating misogyny, and battling to prove their superiority over each other is frequent. But even though it's so common, one example that is constantly brought up is Taylor Swift's Better Than Revenge. The song is a jab at the actress Camilla Bell, who Taylor's then-boyfriend Joe Jonas left her for. It contains a ton of lyrics that have since been controversial, like she took him faster than you could say sabotage. No amount of vintage dresses gives you dignity. Soon, she's gonna find stealing other people's toys on the playground won't make you many friends. And most importantly, she's not a saint and she's not what you think. She's an actress. But she's better known for the things that she does on the mattress. Since its release in 2010 Speak Now, Taylor has become a strong feminist and has said she regrets the song and hasn't performed it since the end of the Speak Now tour. In a 2014 interview with The Guardian, Taylor said, "I was 18 when I wrote that. That's the age you are when you think someone can actually take your boyfriend. Then you grow up and realize no one can take someone from you if they don't want to leave." In May, Taylor announced that she would be releasing the re-recorded version of Speak Now on July 7th. Since then, people have been divided over how Taylor should handle Better Than Revenge, since for the first time in around 10 years, she is being forced to confront it. The whole situation has been made more complicated given Taylor's feminist beliefs that have developed since then and her strong opposition to the concept of the song, like in 2021 when she criticized the Netflix show Ginny and Georgia for a slut-shaming joke about her dating history.
What do you care? You go through men faster than Taylor Swift.
So now Taylor finds herself in a tricky position. Not only does she risk being criticized and called a hypocrite when public attention falls on this song, but she also faces a tricky personal moral dilemma by being forced to deal with possibly the one song in her discography that she regrets. So Taylor is left with a few options. Completely ignore the song and exclude it from Speak Now, Taylor's version. Re-record it, but change the mattress lyric, which is the most controversial. Re-record and change all of the controversial lyrics. Re-record two versions, one with original lyrics and one with new lyrics. Or re-record it identically to the original, and either not address it subtly, or address it explicitly. I'm gonna talk through these options and explain what I think would be the smartest and most logical way for Taylor to handle this. The first option would be to not re-record Better Than Revenge at all. Taylor recently revealed the track list for Speak Now, and confirmed that the song is included, as most of us suspected. It seems like a stupid idea anyway to just ignore it, since the whole point of re-recording is to reclaim her entire discography. Also, Better Than Revenge is not just some controversial forgotten song in her past. It's a fan favorite, with around 150 million streams, and it's the 5th most streamed song from Speak Now on an average day, and will probably be just as popular on Speak Now, Taylor's version, meaning there will be a lot of attention on the song on release day, and a lot of the lead up to the album has revolved around the speculation about what Taylor might do with it. Another problem is that Taylor is known for avoiding risks when it comes to publicity. She tends to avoid and deflect controversy whenever possible. But right now, it's difficult for her because a lot of fans don't want her to repeat these lyrics, which they consider misogynistic and slut-shaming, and the other half don't want her to change it at all because they love the song. Because of this, I don't think it would make sense to re-record two versions, which she hasn't done anyway, because some fans would be annoyed that she still repeated the original lyrics, and it would just draw more attention to the song and the controversy around it. And that kind of brings me to my main point. Since we know that Taylor has re-recorded Better Than Revenge and has only done one version of it, the remaining options are divided into two camps: keep it the same or change it. Ever since Taylor drastically changed Girl at Home on Red and pretended that If This Was a Movie was a Fearless track, her changing her songs during re-recordings is a real possibility, and Better Than Revenge is the one she has the biggest motive to change. Similarly, Taylor has a history of changing lyrics to avoid controversy. She previously changed the lyrics of 2006's Picture to Burn, due to label concerns that a lyric might be homophobic. So the theory that Taylor might change the lyrics of Better Than Revenge is warranted. But would it be the right thing to do? It's really important when discussing this song and the problems with it to keep in mind that it was born out of a different era. At the start of the video, I showed you a bunch of examples of women casually putting down other women, slut-shaming and perpetuating misogyny, and honestly, Better Than Revenge is actually extremely tame in comparison. 2010 generally was just a different time. Being critical of feminism was still common. Slut-shaming was not a widely known term. And there wasn't anything controversial about Better Than Revenge at the time. In fact, in Taylor's Ginny and Georgia tweet, She specifically references 2010 as a year riddled with casual sexism. And this is shown by the reviews of Speak Now at the time. Most reviews, such as Rolling Stone and The Guardian, don't even mention Better Than Revenge specifically. Others, like The Hollywood Reporter, consider the song to be playful and fun. So between the cultural norms, the commonplace lyrics, and her age, I don't think it makes sense to criticize Taylor for writing it in the first place. Which then leaves the question of, is there a difference between her writing it in the first place and re-recording it now? If you think it's the same, then that argument usually revolves around thinking it would be wrong for Taylor to profit now from a message she no longer believes in. But if you think it's different, then, like I do, you think re-recording it doesn't mean she still agrees with it. I think Hayley Williams, a close friend of Taylor's, has a pretty good attitude to this. In reference to the revival of the controversial Misery Business in 2022, she said, "I'm not going to preach about it. I'm just going to say thank you for being nostalgic about this because this is one of the coolest moments of our show, and it's very nice to feel like there's a reason to bring it back that's positive." We know now that Taylor collaborated with Hayley for the Speak Now vault, and it's possible that Hayley's attitude to Misery Business may have influenced Taylor's attitude to Better Than Revenge. And overall, the reason why I think it's particularly important for Taylor to not change Better Than Revenge is that Speak Now, as the title suggests, is an unapologetic insight into the thoughts of a teenage Taylor Swift and the relatable emotions of a young girl. Not only does the context of the era matter, but the context of Taylor's age. It isn't rare at that age to blame a girl and think that she stole your boyfriend. It isn't rare at that age to be nasty to her. Most of us have had similar thoughts and have been mean about another girl. Taylor's just wasn't kept private. Taylor described Speak Now as being filled with brutal honesty and unfiltered diaristic confessions. For Speak Now, Taylor's version to stay true to the original, it has to remain a diary, and that includes Taylor acknowledging the aspects of her teenage self that she isn't proud of. She is a feminist now and criticized Ginny and Georgia for something similar to what she did in Better Than Revenge, but part of being able to criticize others is being able to recognize your own mistakes. Failing to do that, in my opinion, is what would make Taylor a hypocrite. When Taylor wrote the song, she was, to an extent, provoked. Better Than Revenge was written after the Jonas Brothers released Much Better, a song comparing Taylor to Camilla, the girl Joe cheated on Taylor with, and calling Camilla much better. The fact that Much Better attacks Taylor's persona at the time, of a wholesome, innocent, family-friendly good girl, and the fact that the Jonas Brothers themselves portrayed themselves similarly with purity rings that they later admitted they didn't exactly stick to the message of, means that Taylor's "She's Not a Saint" lyric did have relevance to what Joe said about her. In my opinion, Better Than Revenge is still slut-shaming, but it's a misogynistic response to a misogynistic provocation. There are a lot of fans who still think that, even if Taylor had reasons to write it then, she should change the mattress lyric. But it's not like Picture to Burn. You can't just change one lyric. The entire message of the song is criticized for placing the blame on the woman and acting like she stole Joe. What would be the point in changing the mattress line when the rest of the song is still an attack on Camilla? Anyway, Better Than Revenge, despite its criticisms, is still a massively popular and highly streamed Taylor song, and changing the lyrics would only drive people to the original version. I've also seen some people bringing up the moral argument that Taylor shouldn't re-record Better Than Revenge with the same lyrics because it's directing hate at Camilla. But I think Swifties are responsible for this, not Taylor. When Red TV came out, Taylor had nothing to say about Jake Gyllenhaal and actively avoided questions related to him. The additional lyrics in All Too Well 10 are much more mature and reflective, acknowledging his feelings and the mutual turmoil of the relationship. And yet Swifties turned Red's re-release into a feeding frenzy of hate against Jake. Similarly, Swifties have already made a lot of the build-up to Speak Now about John Mayer. Camilla hasn't been relevant in a long time, and the general public won't even realize Better Than Revenge is about her if Swifties can keep their mouths shut about it. In fact, back in 2010, Camilla's career was already declining. You can see on the Google Trends results for searches of her name that there isn't even really a peak around Speak Now's release, and her name wasn't really associated with Better Than Revenge until Swifties started analyzing the lyrics. So if Speak Now, Taylor's version, does cause any hate to come her way, I think it will be the Swifties' fault, not Taylor's. And anyway, Camilla was pretty nasty about Taylor back in 2016, although she was arguably justified to not like Taylor, so Taylor doesn't really owe her any niceness anyway. I want to finish off by saying that I think all of this discussion around what Taylor should and shouldn't do is indicative of a wider problem in the music industry and in pop culture. The music videos I showed you at the start of misogyny perpetuated by women are clearly not the only examples of misogyny in the music industry. It is extremely common among male artists, who tend to face way less criticism for it than female artists. Musicians like Eminem and The Weeknd get away with extreme misogyny in their lyrics by arguing that they're playing a character. But the same grace is rarely granted to female artists, such as the criticism around Lana Del Rey's early work, despite her clearly putting on a persona too. I also think pop generally is more sensitive to lyrical content, assuming that everything is a genuine reflection of the artist's real feelings, rather than just imagination, which doesn't really happen in rap, rock, or other genres. Think of the amount of rappers who discuss killing people, assaulting women, or dealing drugs, some of whom have genuine criminal pasts, and yet most recognize that their lyrics don't have a lot of seriousness or real meaning behind it. Even within pop, there are plenty of examples of diss tracks which are much harsher than Better Than Revenge, especially around 2010. Every single Taylor Swift song tells part of the story of how she ended up where she is today, and that's part of what the re-recordings are all about. You can't fully understand her romanticism without understanding her previous heartbreaks. You can't fully understand her self-critique without understanding her history of being criticized. And you can't fully understand her feminist beliefs, which shaped songs like Mad Woman, Lavender Haze, and The Man, without understanding the early 2000s era slut-shaming and misogyny, which shaped Better Than Revenge. Rolling Stone recently said changing the past now, or using it to make some grand feminist statement, would not only feel dishonest, but it would also compromise her goal of draining all of the value from her original recordings. And I agree. I think there's a weird desire for celebrities to be perfect. And it's not even a cancel culture thing because Taylor's biggest critics over this song are usually her own fans. Changing the lyrics to Better Than Revenge wouldn't be authentic. It would be denying her own past and her own mistakes. She wouldn't be changing the lyrics for moral reasons. She would be changing them to avoid controversy and backlash. I don't know about you, but I would rather Taylor be authentically flawed than inauthentically perfect. Her sympathy towards the other woman in the song August alone shows that Taylor's views on this issue have grown. To expect Taylor to change the lyrics to Better Than Revenge would not only deny her the opportunity to show this growth, but force her to pretend that the immature teenage Taylor never existed, which totally defeats the point of re-recordings and of Speak Now itself. An industry which can forgive the criminal and immoral actions of adult male artists can forgive the immature lyrics of a teenage girl. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.